Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Hong Kong Sevens. This one, the bronze final between Australia and Fiji. Now, two stacked lineups, two sides that I felt had a pretty good chance of making it through to the final. But Australia, they came up against the hurdle of Argentina, who have actually also beaten the Fijians in this competition. And for Fiji, it was the French who were able to end their Sevens campaign, but the bronze is still on the line in the starting lineup. For the Australians, it will be Henry Hutchinson, Matthew Gonzalez, Aidan Akanayake, Henry Patterson, Ben Dalton, Hayden Sargent, and also James Turner. So pretty similar to what we've seen for the other matches for the Aussies. So they are taking this one serious as they do want those extra points that are available. For the Fijians, it is Josefa Talatholo, Kanike or Kavakini, Tani Vanuakula, Georgie Nasova, Siva Mothunothangi, George Balsi, Felipe Saturanga, and also Sanila, the last man in the starting lineup. Two great benches. Ioane Teba ruled out of this game due to his injury in the last contest. Jeremiah Matana, he did come back for one game, but he is now back out of the side. Vuiviwa Nadolvalo, though, still a great player to have coming off of the bench. I believe it is just Tonga who they have decided to go against using here Australia. Maurice Longbottom, Ben Dowling, both going to be making their way off the bench. The winner of this game will get 16 points. The loser get 14. And with Australia currently sitting in 6th, Fiji in 3rd, there's a lot of ground that can be made up. Definitely after we just saw the Spanish finish in 6th. But do, of course, let me know who you guys think will be winning this game. We have got a women's final straight after this between Australia and New Zealand, followed by New Zealand. No, sorry, not New Zealand. They got knocked out a long time ago, but it will be Argentina versus France in the men's final of Hong Kong. The South Stand is absolutely stacked at the moment. There are costumes all over the place. The atmosphere is building. There is a reason this competition, when it takes place in Hong Kong, is regarded as one of the best sporting events around. The crowd are really bringing that atmosphere, but the two teams making their way out onto the field now. Australia, they were on a roll up until that match up against the Argentines, where they never really found their momentum, but something that did happen before that point was Australia was scoring tries for fun. Up against the Fijians, it's going to be tough. We have seen in that last game that the French worked out the way how to do it, and Fiji used to win Hong Kong no problem every season. Says Chris, yeah, they've got the most wins in Hong Kong out of any side. In that quarterfinal up against the French, once again, Fiji not able to put a seal on a match. 17 points to 24. The French getting the win. Maybe the best team will win, says Moa Hunters. Peter Martin will be the referee in charge of this one. His 20th match. And Australia will be kicking off from right to left. This is for the bronze medal, ladies and gents. It's something that honestly could have been a final when you look at these two sides, how dangerous they can be, but kicked off by Sargent, and we are now underway for yet again another matchup beautifully taken by Siva Mothunothangi. So Fiji will get first chance on attack in this contest. Currently 25 metres out from their line, passing wide and across, little pop pass up to, it would have been Tani Vanuakula. Going to make his way forward. Nice work. A beautiful offload. And this is going to be the try already. Sanila, right place, right time. And the Fijians strike early. Exactly the start that they would have been after. Hey, Hamish says, Brandon, welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing extremely well. Third try of his Sevens career for Sakiusa Sanila. Talatholo just using some power. Kanayaki tried to get rid of him, but unfortunately not many people have a long arm span than Talatholo on the Seven circuit. Oh, yeah, we go there. Fiji though at semi-final, says Brandon. What do you mean, Brandon? Do let me know, but that one has gone over from the Fijians, so that will now make the score 7-0 in favour of the favourites. Now they're going to be kicked off high, 15 metres from the kickoff point, and that's going to be forward from Hutchinson into the hands of Matthew Gonzalez. He's also been tipped upside down, so that might end up being something more a little bit later on here. But Australia for now have got themselves the ball in hand, going off to the left-hand side. Hayden Sargent to Hutchinson. Ben Dalton getting one of his first starts for the Aussies. Akanayaki Down low by George Balsey. Hutchinson shifting this one back to the left. They are going back right. It's going to be offside against the Fijians. Around the halfway line, Australia now have a decision to make. Do they want to go for the quick tap or do they just continue with what they're doing? Looks like they are going to go for the tap this time. Referee telling them to speed it up. The clock is going. Go back to the right. Hayden Sargent finds Henry Patterson. He's such a dangerous player. That's going to be a deliberate knockdown, unfortunately, for Fiji. In fact, is it going to be a double blow of the whistle? Yes, it is. And this will be a yellow card. Fiji throw at final win away. They should be able to win in semi-final, but too much silly issues. So here's Brandon. So Josefa Talafolo, he will be the man who is removed from the field for the next 2 minutes of this contest. And when Australia have a man advantage, that is when they can be extremely dangerous, just like most sides on this circuit, trying to get the turnover and the breakdown for Fiji, playing at the arm. Probably a little bit lucky not to have another yellow card there, the Fijians, for Sivamothanatangi. Australia, I would say that they'll go for the scrum option here. Discipline will matter, says Danielle, and already we've seen a few too many penalties up against this Fijian team. In fact, Australia are going to opt for the tap again. Interesting choice. Maybe that is because of the difficulty that some sides have with Fiji's scrum. Don't want to risk losing that ball. Henry Patterson now. That is a forward pass out there. Kanayaki. Wasn't it? Did that one not travel forward by a metre? The ball is on the ground here. Is that not a... What is going on here? The Australians are going to score. Was that not forward pass out wide, drop ball in the ruck for Australia to then pick the ball up and score off it? In fact, the breakdown, they might have been all right. That doesn't change the forward pass beforehand. I think everyone call it New Zealand versus Australia final in the women's, says Brandon. Yeah, at this stage, it's pretty much like clockwork, although Fiji did change that in the last competition. Brilliant kick as well from Australia. That was blatantly forward, so it wasn't just my eyes deceiving me, was it? That looked like it travelled forward quite a bit to Akanayaki out wide from Patterson. This one now going to be kicked high. Fiji managed to claim it just outside of their 22. Big fend coming in from Tani Vanua. Kula tries to find the offload, but doesn't quite into the hand of his Fijian support runner. Now chance here for Ben Dalton. This one's knocked down, knocked gone, was it, from Henry Hutchinson? Yes, it was. Hutchinson's got his finger pointing at one of the Fijian players. Sivamothanatangi just says, give me the ball. And he wants them to check this one, Henry Hutchinson. How about we check that try again and see what they end up saying? Sounds like time is off as well. Maybe a sub is just about to be made. Did it hit the hand of Satoranga there? Maybe. In the outstretched effort of trying to grab that ball. This will be their first meeting this season. Australia on a 3-game winning streak against Fiji all last season. I did not know that. That's quite an interesting stat, the fact that these two sides haven't played as of yet for this year. Right, time is going to be back on. Fiji are back to the full 7 on the park. A lot of points on the line and a bronze medal as well. That is probably just as important to these two sides. Fiji sitting 3rd in the overall rankings. Spain are above them, but if Fiji win this game, I believe that will push them that little bit further forward and would actually move them up to 2nd. Who scored for Fiji? First try of the match was scored by Sanila, was the man who managed to get it. Refs are against Fiji, says Habida, or Hadiba, I should say, sorry. Now out wide, chance here for Fiji just inside of their own 22. Georgie Nasova, he's had a little bit more of a quiet tournament. Definitely in these big games, there's a knock-on and a penalty. Goes the way of the Australians. Henry Hutchinson now running only 5 metres out from the try line. Kanayaki goes back across to the right-hand side. Passed out wide to James Turner towards the corner. Breaking through and scores it. And nice work from the Aussies. They will get themselves their 2nd try of the contest. Are you covering Sevens next week? Are you covering big games of Super Rugby, Reds versus Chiefs? What a big game, says Brandon. Yeah, so we are hoping to cover a majority of the rugby that is on. There will be some overlap, so I'm not too sure what my plan is there, but we'll see what the schedule looks like for Singapore first, and then we'll work out where it is that the problems will lie. But yeah, we've got Champions and Challenge Cup that I'm going to be covering on the channel too, so some of those games are going to be overlapping with each other, which gets a bit more awkward, but we'll be trying the best to get them all done. That one's going to miss away to the side. Refs makes decision, and video refs are creepy. Says I'm there. I don't think I've heard anyone call a video ref creepy before. That is definitely a new one. I think I've heard them be called corrupt more than creepy, but 50 seconds remaining. Hayden Sargent kicks the ball high. Australia unable to convert, so it makes the score 12 points to 7. Nicely taken by Seven Mothinothangi. Trying to get straight in there was Henry Hutchinson. This is why I'll hold our interviews if you haven't already known. Says Brandon. Aussie are right in the wave. And they creepy. Says, is that because they have to look at, like, footage? Or what's the go there? Now Seven Mothinothangi. Looking for the offload. Oh, a little bit of a miscommunication there from Fiji, sitting 22 metres out. Well protected. Mothinothangi again goes off to the left-hand side. All show and go from Georgie Nasova. Offloads it up to Sanila, the one try scorer for Fiji throughout this first half, although another one might just about get added to the list. With Sanila going off to the right-hand side. Felipe Saturanga in the middle of the field. Steps round one. Pins the ears back. This man has been sensational all throughout the Sevens. And he scores another one here right at the end of the first half. He is absolutely exhausted now, though. It's like he used up every last bit of energy, and now he's got to go out there for the second 7 minutes. A great sell of the dummy, and then brilliant offload up to Sanila, just on the same wavelength as his teammate. He pretty much just threw the miracle ball up in the air, hoping someone would run onto it. And they did. Felipe Saturanga, third try for him in Hong Kong. He deserves much more praise than his try tally, though. He has been very strong, but that kick has gone over from Fiji, so they will lead at halftime in this bronze medal final, 14 points to 12. And you have to see the footage. The France-Fiji game was a knock-on. Ref awarded the score. Says, I know that there was one in that game. I can't remember if it was a knock-on, but there was something that we had a wee look at and we felt like maybe it wasn't the right call. I'm just going back to see that last pass that I mentioned about, because I feel like maybe I was a bit too critical. I want to see whether or not it was that forward, to see whether or not I was too strict. Right, Patterson runs sideways. You know, that pass went forward by probably 2 metres in front of the referee in that first half. That was quite bad. I put an interviews on hold for now until a quiet week or weekend. I possibly picked worst time to do interviews in the middle of a rugby season. Yeah, it's been extremely busy, that is for sure. And we have got their semi-final was BS in there as well. But second half, not a mile away from taking place. Anyone wondering about what is to come in the near future? The next game we have got will be the women's final between New Zealand and Australia. I believe the kickoff for that game is at 11:10, so in 20 minutes' time. Then after that, it will be the men's final taking place between Argentina and France. And then that's the rugby weekend done. I'm not sure of the exact number in terms of how many hours we have been live throughout this weekend, but I do know that next weekend is going to be just as, if not more, busy. I think there will be a real lack of sleep going on. We'll have to try and sleep well during the week. Get us back onto a slightly normal time zone. Maurice Longbottom, he has made his way onto the field for the Australians. Felipe Saturanga, the Fijian Seven, is just about to kick us off for the second half. It's gone extremely high and doesn't travel the 10, so not quite the start to the half that the Fijians would have been after. All right, Maurice Longbottom. I'm just looking around to see who that's actually for. It might be for Matt Gonzalez. I don't think I see him out there on the field anymore. Going off to the left-hand side, though, Longbottom goes on the inside. That looked like Ben Dowling, so maybe a couple changes have been made from this Aussie lineup. James Turner running down the wing. Tackled by Sanyela. Big clean-out coming, and that will be the penalty. There's a bit of a mistake made from Jaden Blake. Fiji weren't on the mark. Up at 3 a.m. in Canada to watch Fiji. Hope they win. Says Logan Fong. Are you just up to watch the Fijians, or are you going to be watching the finals as well, Logan? So I assume that'll be about a 4 a.m. kickoff in Canada or somewhere around there. Going to be a bit of a brutal one, but it is greatly appreciated you being here. Georgie Nasova back into the pocket now for the Fijians. Sitting on their own 22. Back across again. Nice little stutter step from Sanila. He's actually had a really strong performance here. He's normally one of those guys who doesn't get a huge amount of minutes, but it's really stepped up when it's mattered. Tolatholo with the ball on the inside. Here comes the pace of Fiji, and as soon as they get the line break, it is always hard to stop them. Definitely when it is that man, Georgie Nasova, who will get himself another try. Did they just say Jeremiah Matana? Matana's injured. So obviously it is not him, but it is Georgie Nasova for his 5th try in Hong Kong. 21 tries on the 7th circuit for this season. I moved on from commentary rugby game. Sleep schedule got better, and sometimes I up at 3 a.m. make a thumbnail. See, here's Brandon, and I'm watching both. See, here's Logan. So yeah, a couple entertaining matches, of course, just around the corner. That women's final between New Zealand and Australia, they have gone 50-50 for a long time. But there he is. 21 tries for this series. Marcos Maneta in second on 19. Patrick Odongo-Okongo on 17. Maneta on 19. I think I may have said 17 twice there, but just shows how strong Okongo has been going. That's going to be the penalty for playing the man in the air. Australia decide to take the quick tap. They are currently down by 9, so we'll need a try and something. James Turner trying to burst through that line. I said that with a very strong Aussie twang. Passed out on the outside for the Australians, inside to Hutchinson. Tackled around that halfway line. Just looking to slowly build up the field here, the Aussies. Dowling thought about the short ball, now offloads on the inside to Henry Patterson. As soon as he starts making his way through, he's hard to stop. No arms challenge coming from Fiji. Jaden Blake goes to Hutchinson. Another flat pass before that, but Kanayaki will score the try for Australia. That gets them back into the game. That is his 7th of the season, actually 7th of his career as well, only having his debut on an earlier leg, but Henry Patterson decides to run it almost straight sideways. Manueli Maisa-Mo ended up getting spun around all over the place. I don't recommend watch Women for now, just New Zealand and Australia, to make tournament boring, because right now we think New Zealand this year tournament. Says Brandon, Fiji all the way, says Leonard. Kickers miss from the Aussies, but it doesn't change too much. They will still need another try if they do want to go on to win this contest and finish 3rd in the overall standings. That looked like Jaden Blake was just walking his way past the camera. Now sits up for Henry Patterson. Still 3 minutes remaining in this match, so it is anyone's game for the taking. Kanayaki going back across to the left-hand side. Dowling goes on the outside to Jimmy the Jet. Trying to step through. Tackled low by Georgie Nasova. Balsi had the breakdown covered next to it. Maurice Longbottom passes across to Hutchinson. A couple of the more experienced heads out there on the field for the Aussies. Good stepping coming from Hutchinson there. Kanayaki feeds it off to Longbottom. Australia a little bit stagnant around 40 metres out, but they know that a line break could be just on the cusp, but they've dropped the ball, and it means that Fiji now got the possession back. This Hong Kong final rematch from 2023. Says Brandon. Back across to the left-hand side. 2 minutes remaining on the clock. Fiji just on their own 22. Looking to use it down the wing. There's Basialo. He is another guy who's had a very limited amount of minutes for this competition. Talatholo passes on the inside to George Balsi. Oh, what a strip that is from the Australian 15. That was Sydney Harvey who managed to get it. He was actually the player who dropped the ball before, but now he's given the Australians the ball in a perfect position on the field. Henry Patterson tackled early. Another offload to a Kanayaki. Oh, that's an ugly one. I really hope this isn't a yellow card. Manueli Maisa-Mo, he's ended up in a position of tackling a man in the air. Dowling jumped up for the ball. So, unfortunately, as soon as a man jumps, you're not allowed to touch him. And they've just mentioned there about the smartness of Dowling, because he knew that he couldn't be tackled when he went up there. What was the course for? I mean, high school cross country when you were there. What was the course for? The course? What course are we talking, Kiwi Gamer? Going off to the right-hand side, all Dowling. In fact, this time it's Hutchinson, almost sneaks through. Fiji trying to stay on side. The last thing that they can afford here is another penalty against them. 1 minute remaining. Maurice Longbottom just picked the ball up off to Henry Patterson. Tackled well and early by Basialo. Oh, he's been told to leave it alone. Back across to the left-hand side. Oh, big shot on Sydney Harvey. You'll be feeling that one tomorrow and probably some of next week too. At Kanayaki, that is a cynical infringement from Manueli. My son, mine, the breakdown. When the cross-country race was held. I mean, we used to do it back at the park normally rather than at, high school, I think they do like a lap of the track or of the field. 15 seconds remaining. Nadovalo, he will make his way on. He can be an X-Factor player, although all he has to do here is get the turnover so that they can then kick that ball into touch. That'll be the big goal for Fiji. As much as they'd like to score one last try, they have to be strategic here and cannot afford to accidentally give Australia one last attack. But for now, the Aussies do have that last chance. Sydney Harvey goes on the outside to James Turner. Risky play goes on the inside to Harvey, who will score it all. Josh Turner gets slammed down to the ground by Josefa Talatholo. And I believe there might have been a bit of off-the-ball stuff going on when he was trying to chase through. I don't think Talatholo would have got to him anyway, but it is all kicked off here. The Aussies. Talatholo is not happy. Josh Turner extends his hand and says, shake it. Talatholo rejects him. That might be just a bit more frustration for the Fijians. They had this game secured, it seemed right. We're going to see it now. So Talatholo, just a bit of obstruction there from Josh Turner. Gets in the way of Talatholo. There's no guarantees he would have been able to stop him anyway, but definitely not the tone that we wanted this game to end on. Definitely not, because these sides normally are pretty respectful of each other, but it's going to be the end of the contest, and I believe the Australians are going to win it 22 points to 21. Right, Josh Turner and Talatholo exchanging one of those hugs that it's as if, I think the best way of describing it, you know, when two brothers fight and the mum's like, you guys have to make up, give each other a hug, and you kind of do the distant hug like that. That's what it looked like. I think there's still a little bit of animosity there. I'm sure it would have cooled down by next week, but Australia get themselves the bronze medal. Fiji, they finish fourth, so Aussie will climb up that little bit closer towards the top five, maybe even top four now. The next game, of course, just around the corner, and it is going to be a final that has taken place between none other than New Zealand and Australia for the women's side of things. It is such a common matchup that takes place. Patterson pretty happy with the performance. I have to say, he was one of the main reasons Aussie have made it as far as they did. He had some sensational games earlier on in the comp, including that game up against South Africa where he just kept on cutting the defence open. So a hugly hug, says DH. Yeah, it was one of those, the hugs that they knew that they had to hug, but they didn't want to. But yeah, it's an interesting one anyway. Whether or not there is anything that comes of that next time they play, whether there's going to be a big shot. Sydney Harvey, he'll be probably very happy that he closed it out with the try, because he did have that drop ball, then he stripped it away. So he's kind of had quite a back and forth couple minutes. Sydney Harvey, 19 years of age, bright future for him as well. In front of a Hong Kong stadium to be able to score that last try. Yeah, I mean, Josh Turner got absolutely thrown away, unfortunately. Australian player blocking the Fiji player. Ref doesn't blow the whistle. Referees kill the momentum of the games with favouritism against Fiji. There's, I don't think you could guarantee that Talatholo could have got to him in that scenario, but in terms of the reffing side of things, I will mention about that first forward pass try that was scored by the Aussies. We went back and looked at it. Sydney Harvey will go back over, celebrate with his team, but at the end of the day, score says 22-21. And Australia finished bronze, Fiji finish with the 4th. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. We will be back in 10 minutes for the next live stream. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I will see you all for the next one.